Planning and Zoning Board. The board meets every third Tuesday of the month to review proposals for changing the city's comprehensive plan, its future land use map, zoning changes consistent with the map, and conditional use permits. The board is made up of 7 members appointed by the City Commission and is assisted by the staff of the Community and Economic Development Department and the city's attorney's office. Staff will advance any presentation slides that should have been provided prior to the meeting. The meeting is divided into 2 parts. The first part is the public hearing, where we expect to hear new applicants explain their requests and receive comments from affected parties. The second part of the meeting is termed the general meeting and consists of acting on recommendations from staff about cases that have come up in prior months' meetings. We invite everyone who wishes to participate to be heard. We do ask that you be concise in your comments and that speakers avoid being repetitive. That is, if people have pointed out traffic concerns, there's no need to hear additional comments regarding traffic again, but we would like to hear anything new that has not been addressed. In order to allow everyone to have the opportunity to speak, there will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker, and the clerk has a timer for this purpose. We respectfully ask that you adhere to this rule. We also ask that at this time you silence all mobile devices. If you do come up to speak, please state your name and your address. With that, we thank you all for being here, and I'll turn the meeting over to the Secretary, Silvana Knight.
Item number 1, compatibility review to allow for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit on property located at 1206 East Edgewood Drive. Owner Shane I. Willis, applicant Platinum Construction Group. And this is the consideration of a final decision.
Good morning. For the record, Todd Vargo with Senior Planner with Community and Economic Development. This first case, as you said, is for compatibility review for an accessory dwelling unit at 1206 East Edgewood Drive. Here's the location map. You can see Lake Hollingsworth, and I think we all know Edgewood Drive is one of the main east-west arteries in the city. Here is the aerial in the base map showing the 0.77 acre lot located at the corner of Edgewood Drive East and Nevada Road. It is also within the urban neighborhood context district. Here's a picture of the lot from the south side of Edgewood Drive. Here is the main house, and there is a garage on the right side, a detached garage. There's 2 trees kind of blocking the view, so I moved to the north side of Edgewood Drive to give you maybe a better picture. Again, here is the principal structure, the main house, and the detached garage. The detached garage will be demolished and roughly in its place, not exactly in its place, but roughly in its place will be a 671 square foot accessory dwelling unit with a carport on the right side of the ADU. So this is the approximate location of the accessory dwelling unit and the carport. Again, that detached garage there will be demolished. Here's the site plan that shows, again, the main house. This is the accessory dwelling unit with the carport on the side, and this is the detached garage that will be demolished. And again, here's, to orient you, here's Nevada Road, here's East Edgewood Drive down here. Here's the floor plan for the proposed accessory dwelling unit. Again, the carport and the covered patio on the right-hand side. Here's the edge of the principal structure, kitchen, living room, bedroom, bath. Here's the proposed elevations. They would like the option of connecting the roof to the principal structure. That's fine with us. That in the land development code, the connecting it by the roof doesn't make it part of the principal structure. It would have to share a same supporting wall to be part of the principal structure. So even with a connecting roof, it's still considered accessory in the land development code. I think that's all the slides I have. If the applicant wanted to come up and has a presentation or anything.
I don't have anything to cover it.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions. Good morning, I'm Tony Pagan with Platinum Construction. I have nothing further to add. The owner does want to do the optional roof connecting it, and if that's acceptable, then we don't have any questions or comments.
Could you please state your address for the record?
The address of the
Your address.
1221 Fossil Road, Polk City, Florida.
Mr. Pagan, I did have a question. The roof connection states it's a covered breezeway, but that doesn't appear to function as a breezeway. There's no actual pedestrian connection from the house to the ADU there. So what is the purpose of connecting the roof line?
There's existing pool equipment, there's air conditioning equipment that's in between there that they may or may not relocate, but they just want to have a quick access from the front to the rear.
Okay, and the homeowner is aware that in the future, they will not be able to come back and apply for a permit to formally connect those structures with a slab or walls or anything like that?
Yes, sir, we understand that wouldn't be consistent with the land development code.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the board?
With that being said, I guess I'll just read the conditions of approval. Number one, development standards in accordance with the RA1 zoning classification and subsection 4.3.2 of the Land Development Code, except as otherwise provided herein. Excuse me. Number two, site development plan. The project shall be developed in substantial accordance with the site development plan included as attachment A and the floor plan included as attachment B. 3 architectural elevations. The project shall be developed in substantial accordance with the architectural elevations included as attachment C. The siding of the accessory dwelling unit shall match the painted brick veneer of the main house. And that's it.
Do we have any public comment on this? Did we receive any
We did not.
emails, nothing?
No comments, no mailers or emails or anything like that.
Any other questions from the board based on these conditions?
Actually, I do have a quick question for Mr. Lyons. Why is it that in the future they couldn't connect those two and make it one parcel?
Under the Land Development Code, that would theoretically make it a duplex if they were to connect the structures with actual wall. In the past, we have had homeowners have tried to do that, and that's not the intent here. It's to be a separate subordinate structure from the principal dwelling there. So right now, it would meet that, but.
Even if like a parent or something would live there, or that, okay.
Correct,
All right.
yes.
All right, considering it's a consideration for final decision, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
Item 2.
Thank you, everyone.
Major modification of an existing conditional use for the Greater St. Paul Missionary Baptist Institutional Church to allow a 1,017 square foot addition to an existing church office building and a food pantry along with support services for the elderly on property located at 1123 Omohundro Avenue. Owner, Greater St. Paul Missionary Baptist Institutional Church. Applicant, Mildred McMillan, and this is also a consideration of final decision.
Hi, good morning. My name is Philip Scarce. I'm a principal planner with Community Economic Development. You have for you this morning an expansion of an existing public institution for the benefit of St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. Location of the site is 1123 Omohundro Avenue, which is the offices of Faith in Action. This is the site right here. This is Omohundro. The site is right here. The subject zoning is within the RA4 zoning district. They have an existing conditional use permit that's approved back in the early 2000s to allow the conversion of the single-family dwelling into office space for administrative offices for Faith in Action. And the applicant can explain to you what their services are going to be or what they do, but they are doing an expansion to the front and a 1,017 square foot expansion to provide more services for their elderly parishioners and to be able to reach out to the community. So, got some slides here. So this is the existing house office looking southeast. This is a structure here. There is a single family dwelling unit just to the south. Excuse me. This is looking east into the site with their offices. And this is looking directly west across Omohundro. The zoning across the street is I-1 Industrial. This is a battery manufacturing, a small battery manufacturing facility. And this is looking south down Omohundro. You can see the existing battery facility there, single family residence, and this is the Faith in Action's driveway. And this is looking north. Again, north, just further up Omohundro, and you can see St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. They abut the same property line there. So I want to just move real quickly forward to the site plan that's proposed. Again, 1,000 square foot addition in the front. This is the existing office building here. And this is the addition. This application will require some upgrades to the site. So the site plan shows their parking with the accessible or handicap accessibility, new driveway, landscaping that's required by the Land Development Code. One condition that wasn't satisfied originally from the original CUP was a buffer fence along the southern property line. So they'll still have to install that buffer fence along that southern property line adjacent to that single family residence. In addition, they'll need to provide a connection to the sidewalk. Other than that, that's basically, the site is a relatively small site. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the applicant and let them explain their application and what they do, and then I'll come back with the conditions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mildred McMillan with Faith in Action. And we are enlarging this building for the convenience of the citizens, the senior citizens, because the senior citizens are served in this building. We serve 600 senior citizens in this area. And when we have, like we've had the hot weather, we're going to have the cold weather. So we have to enlarge the building so that the seniors can come inside to be served. And it's a multi-purpose building. It's only 25 by 49, but that's the space that we needed. And it's very much needed. We were organized in 2003, so this is our 20th year in serving the community. And we serve zip codes 33805, 33809, 10, 11, and 15.
Thank you. For the record, could you please provide your address for the record?
My address?
Yes, please.
My address is 310 Heather Point Drive.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Ma'am, can you please explain in more detail the types of services you provide?
We provide home care, house cleaning, transportation, yard work, and last but not least, we provide food. In the beginning, we did not provide food. We were just servicing. We take people to the doctor, wherever they want to go, because these are elderly people that don't drive. So we try to do everything that we can to do the services that they can no longer do.
Thank you.
And there is no charge.
If I can say something really quick, in my previous employment, I was very familiar with Faith in Action, and they were typically, people would come to them when other service providers could not help them. So they have been there for a very long time, and they do great work. So there you go.
And I would have to also say I also was part of Faith in Action at one time. And they do provide all the services that Ms. McMillan spoke of, even more services, So if the people need electric bills and things like that paid, they also are a site to help also with electric utilities and different things. So I think her plan is much needed.
Just one quick question out of curiosity. Do you have any idea how many more people you'll be able to serve once this addition is done?
Well, the elderly population is continually growing, and we began our organizations with 30, now we're up to 600. So you be the judge.
Thank you.
As far as parking and access, is it just the parking on site that is used, or is there adjacent parking within the Baptist church area that is also used?
There are 200 parking spaces within the church. We also have parking spaces in the back, and we'll have handicap parking in the front.
Thank you.
But a certain percentage, most of our food is delivered to the clients, so parking is no problem.
Thank you.
All right, so I will go through the conditions. It goes without saying that staff does recommend approval of the proposed conditional use permit. Ordinance 4630 as amended. The permitted uses, church administrative office of food pantry and support services for the elderly. Site development plan. The site shall be developed in substantial accordance with the site development plans that we just saw, and the architectural elevations, which I'll show you in a second, as an attachment D. With the approval of the Community and Economic Development Director, minor adjustments may be made at the time of the site plan and building permit review without requiring modification to this conditional use permit. The development standards are in accordance with the RA3 Urban Neighborhood Subdistrict Standards. Buffering in accordance with the Land Development Code. Landscaping shall be planted and maintained along the adjacent off-street parking areas as shown in the site plan and adjacent to the southern property line, a buffer consisting of a 6-foot-high fence with at least 90% view blockage, and a type A head shall be constructed and maintained along that southern boundary. Again, that was original condition back when this ordinance was approved. An entrance feature, the proposed addition shall include an entrance feature at the primary entrance as specified by section 3.4.5, table 3.4-1 of the Land Development Code. It is not shown in their elevation, but it is depicted in the site plan. So their architect was showing that entrance feature. signage. If they choose to, they can have a one ground-mounted sign with a maximum height of 6 feet and a maximum air square footage of 5 feet. If the sign is illuminated, it shall be externally illuminated. And an ADA-compliant sidewalk connection shall be made to the existing sidewalk along Omohundro. I will point out this time that we sent out 19 letters to adjacent property owners within 250 feet. We did not receive any calls of opposition. So that is good. This is the existing site plan and ordinance 4630 that is being replaced with this site plan. And a new exhibit, again, this is the proposed elevation that you will see along Omohundro. So this is the front, this is their entrance, this is the existing entrance that's there now. So this will be their primary entrance as well. And this is their side elevation. So it is consistent with the RA4 zoning. It's in a residential scale. Surrounding uses are compatible, and staff does recommend approval of the conditional use permit.
Any questions from the audience? Any further questions from the board? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to accept.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item 3.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Item 3, conditional use to allow a two-family dwelling duplex on property located at 814 North Vermont Avenue. Owner, PSM Land Properties, LLC. Applicant, Strickland Construction. Consideration of final decision.
Good morning, Damaris Stahl, Senior Planner, Community Economic Development. As mentioned, this request is a conditional use permit for a two-family dwelling unit on property located at 814 North Vermont Avenue. The subject property is zoned MF22, which is multifamily residential within the urban neighborhood context district. Displayed here is the general location of the property, which is currently vacant north of Vermont and Street and, west of North Vermont Street and north of Parker Street. This here is the base map and the aerial. As you can see, the properties to the east are all vacant, and north, west, and south are all single-family residential. The subject property is located within the Lakeland CRA Midtown District and Parker Street neighborhood. The property has been vacant since 2003. This is the image of the property, as you can see, facing west into the property. In 1993, the reclassification of the multifamily zoning for the Parker Street neighborhood to conform for zoning regulations was approved by City Commission. And so the conditional use that has been requested today is to construct the two-family dwelling within that multifamily zoning. There's additional images of the properties. The southwest corner facing east towards Vermont Avenue. This is the southwest corner facing north along the rear of the property. This is North Vermont Avenue facing north. As you can see, the single family and the vacant properties to the foreground there. The North Vermont Avenue facing south. And this is the proposed site plan of the duplex. And I will pause here and allow the applicant to answer any questions before I move forward with the conditions of the property.
Morning.
morning.
Morning. Questions?
Could you state your name and address, please?
Yeah, so William Wainwright, my address is 613 North Vermont Avenue.
And then could you maybe elaborate a little bit further if you have anything to add?
Yeah, so basically we were trying to, we've owned the property for a while now, and we're wanting to develop it, saw that it was in the MF22, got excited, had plans drawn up, and then realized that MF22 requires a minimum of 3 units since the conditional use. So that's why we made the request today. So looking to build on vacant properties that we have and hoping this can be one of our first that we can start in the neighborhood in an effort to provide some affordable housing.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So instead of building 3 units, you're going to build 2?
It's a smaller lot than I think we're able to build the 3 units on. So for what we had planned and what we were thinking we were going to do, we think this is the best case moving forward. I know there are other lots to the north that are going to be assembled, I think, and maybe build out more there. But since we are kind of, on either side, single family houses there, we feel like this is the best for the amount of space that we'd like to provide as we attempt to provide 3 2s that are a little bit larger units for some of our larger families in the neighborhood.
So it looks like there's stairs. Are these going to be 2 stories?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there not already some 2-story buildings in the immediate vicinity of the area you're talking about?
So there are apartment complexes on on North Iowa, further closer to Memorial, that are 2-story buildings. There's, of course, the Midtown Lofts just down Parker Street. That's, I think, a 5 or 6-story building. So this is, on that side, it's a lot of vacant lots, and then a couple of single family, and that were probably there from the original change of the multifamily zoning. So.
Is this a quadruplex or a duplex?
No, it's a duplex.
What is upstairs then?
So that the bedrooms will be upstairs. Downstairs will be the living space, kitchen and.
The only slide we saw what looked like 2 bedrooms and maybe 2 bathrooms or 2 showers.
Yeah, so it's a 3-2.
Yeah, so this is just the site plan.
It's just the site.
To show how it will fit on the property. And then this here are the elevations of the southeast and the west and north sides of the building.
Because it's surrounded by single-family homes, what's the height of that, please? I can't read it.
It appears to be
31.
31.
So at
not-
31 at the tip.
9 inches.
That would be from the bridge. Something is, if it were single family, for example, would allow maximum 36 feet. So this is compatible with the adjacent structures under the land development code, and they are showing a 11-foot setback on both sides. So it would, even in the historic areas, it would be permitted as being compatible. We have other examples through the city where we have done 2-story similar designs like this.
Yeah, and we were taking our cues kind of from what we knew was going to be developed further north on that street with 2-story attached units. So knowing that was coming,
I mean, under the MF22 zoning, if they had a larger parcel, they could do, I believe, 55 feet and up to 75 units per acre. I mean, it could be a much larger, higher complex. So this is very, much more modest.
Right, I'm just trying to be cognizant of the people around it.
certainly.
Sure.
Where is the parking?
So parking will be in driveways, if you can go back to the site plan. Yeah, so those are driveways at the top and bottom of right along the setbacks there. Mhm.
Here and here. And then this is a sidewalk connection to the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk that's there.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Do we have any further conditions on this?
Oh, I apologize, I forgot I I added another slide here showing a little more detail of the interior of the duplex there, where the room layouts are, so that way you can see.
That would be the first floor plan?
No, I believe this is the
First floor, there's a kitchen, there's a half bath, that's the
first floor. All right. These are the following conditions. Number one is the permitted uses as a two-family dwelling, it's a duplex. Number two is the maximum intensity use is one duplex, so it's 2 dwelling units total. Number three is the development standards in accordance with MF 22 Urban Neighborhood Context Subdistrict, except as follows. Minimum lot width is 66 feet. Minimum lot area is 11,400 square feet. Site plan development, the site shall be developed in accordance with site plan included as attachment C. With the approval of the Director of Community and Economic Development, minor adjustments may be made at time of site plan review without requiring a modification of this conditional use. Number five, architectural elevations. The project shall be developed in substantial accordance with architectural elevations included as attachment D. Minor adjustments may be made at the time of building permits review without requiring modifications to the conditional use. Number six, off-street parking in accordance with subsection 4.11.4.6 of the Land Development Code, except the minimum driveway width shall be 9 feet. Number seven, sidewalks, pedestrian sidewalk connection shall be constructed from the entrance of each unit to the sidewalk on North Vermont Avenue. And number eight, landscaping and buffering in accordance with subsection 4.5.4.2 of the Land Development Code. A minimum of one large tree, a tree, shall be planted per dwelling unit, so it's 2 trees total, in lieu of the landscape plan at the time of building permit. The specific tree and species to be planted, caliper, and planting locations shall be shown on site plan for each of the family dwelling units.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question. And because of the previous item that we voted on, the sidewalk had to be ADA compliant. Why is the sidewalk not required to be ADA compliant here?
They already have a sidewalk along Vermont Avenue, so they're...
So they don't have to change it to make, okay.
Correct. Yes.
Makes sense.
I noticed in condition 6, there's an exception to provide a minimum width of 9 feet. What is the criteria?
So the minimum in the Land Development Code is 10 feet, but due to the constraint size of the lot, go back to the site plan so you can see, if we put it to 10 feet, it would not meet the minimum setback for the distance of the property line, which is 3 feet for the apron. So the 9 feet allows the apron to still meet the setback from the property line.
And we do have, in older areas, the historic districts, I know we do actually 8 feet by right there. So this is an older infill neighborhood, and it appeared to be appropriate in this particular circumstance here, given the design and how they're laying out the parking here. So that's why we recommended 9 feet as the minimum here.
Did we receive any comments from neighbors or affected parties?
No, I did not receive any phone calls, no emails, or any comments were received for this project.
Thank you. And as the applicant, your acceptance of the conditions as stated?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve this item as presented.
I second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 4, conditional use to allow for the conversion of an existing single-family detached dwelling. Did I just do that?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Item 5, minor modification of PUD, Plan Unit Development Zoning to increase the maximum number of beds for a previously approved assisted.
I'm
on
sorry,
item 4.
we do need, we have two cups that are very similar for
thought.
duplexes. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Missed a
item
month.
4.
This is what happens. Item 4, conditional use to allow for the conversion of an existing single-family detached dwelling to a two-family dwelling duplex on property located at 838 East Peachtree Street. Owner, New View Trust Company. Applicant, New Heights Construction Incorporated. Consideration of final decision.
Thank you. Good morning. For the record, again, I'm Todd Vargo, Senior Planner with Community and Economic Development. This is kind of similar to the last case in that it's a duplex in a multifamily zoning district, but in this case, it's an existing house that's being converted to a duplex. The location is 838 East Peachtree Street, which is, again, not too far from the last case. The subject property is approximately 0.31 acres, is located on the northwest corner of Morgan Avenue North and East Peachtree Street. Adjacent to the north is a single-family detached dwelling unit. The lot to the west is vacant. The lot to the east has multifamily residential on it. I've got a picture of that later in the slideshow. And then to the south is a warehouse distribution industrial use, which is zoned I1, or Light Industrial Limited Commercial District. The property has a future land use designation of residential high and MF22 zoning, again, similar to the last case, and urban neighborhood context subdistrict designation. The subject property is currently improved with a 2,219 square foot single family structure, which was constructed in 1926. According to the Polk County property appraiser, you can see this is the view of the front of the structure from East Peachtree Street looking north. In 2017, the subject property was cited by the city's code enforcement division for conversion to a quadplex, which would be 4 dwelling units under one roof, without permits. One of the dwelling units even fell below the minimum multifamily square footage of 300 square foot. So this was, of course, a problem for the city in that, they tried to do this without permits. And when I say they, I mean the previous owners. I don't mean the current owners. So at that time, sometime after 2017, those previous owners sold the property and it was eventually purchased by these new owners who proposed the current plan to convert the single family structure into a duplex rather than a quadplex. And as we last case, a duplex in the MF22 zoning district requires conditional use permit approval. So that's kind of the history of the site and why we're here today to talk about the conditional use permit to convert this single family structure into a duplex. Here is the driveway off of Peachtree Street. This is just to the right a little bit of the last picture, and we'll talk about this a little bit. It's a non-conforming driveway and will need to be removed when this is converted to a duplex. This is kind of from about midpoint on the lot on Morgan Avenue North, and I'm looking south to kind of towards the back of the structure or the side of the structure, and you can see the industrial use that's across Peachtree Street. This is Peachtree Street right here. And then this, at one point, this was the, when this was being converted into a quadplex, again, back in 2017, this was the unit that was under 300 square foot. It was pretty much just this area that kind of sticks out from the main house they were trying to turn into a dwelling unit. This is the rear yard of the subject property for Morgan Avenue North. This existing driveway will remain. This parking area will be widened to provide space for 4 cars, and then there will be, and I'll show you, I think I have a slide of the floor plan. The one dwelling unit essentially will be in the front, and one will be in the rear, and there will be a new entranceway right here facing Morgan Avenue North. This is the multifamily across the street, across Morgan Avenue, which is, this is to the east of the subject property. So that just so there is a history of multifamily uses in this area. A bit further north on Morgan Avenue is an apartment complex. Again, this is on the other side of Morgan Avenue, this is on the east side. But again, just showing the multifamily uses that are existing in the area. And here's the site plan. They'll convert the duplex through the addition of a 1-hour partition, also known as a firewall, between the two units. I did not have the floor plan, sorry. The proposed duplex will be 1 story with each dwelling unit containing at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms, and a total living area of approximately 2,200 square feet. Again, to comply with the off-street parking requirements, there'll be 4 spaces off of Morgan Avenue North here through a driveway. And the non-conforming driveway on Peachtree Street will be removed. To meet the entrance feature requirements, the entrance to each dwelling unit will be improved with a small front porch, and an entrance facing Morgan Avenue will be added to the rear unit. I think that is right here. For small infill sites, duplexes are attractive to investors as they have a lower development cost than multifamily dwellings, which are subject to commercial plan review and more stringent building and fire codes. Obviously, we recommend approval. I'm going to let the applicant come up and discuss this proposal. And while they're coming up, I will let you know that the day after we post all the properties with a sign, the day after I put the sign up on this property, the only phone call we got in relation to this case was somebody who thought the sign meant the city was selling the property and they were interested in purchasing it. But there was nobody, no phone calls or no communications in opposition. So anyway, would the applicant like to come up and, is the applicant here? Do you want to open it for public comment then?
Absolutely. Do we have any comments from the public? Good.
Seeing none, I'll go ahead and read the conditions. 1, permitted uses, a 2-family dwelling unit, also known as a duplex. Number 2, maximum intensity of use, 1 duplex, 2 dwelling units total. Development standards, the project shall be developed in accordance with the MF22 urban neighborhood zoning classification except as follows. Minimum lot width, 106 feet. Minimum lot area, 13,500 square feet. 4, site development plan, the project shall be developed in substantial accordance with the site development plan, attachment C, and floor plan, attachment D. With the approval of the Director of Community and Economic Development, minor adjustments may be made at the time of site plan and building permit review without requiring a modification of this conditional use. Entrance feature, each dwelling unit shall include a covered entrance feature, either a stoop or a porch, as specified in figures 3.4-5 and 3.4-6 of the Land Development Code. Off-street parking, in accordance with subsection 4.11.4.6 of the Land Development Code, and as follows. A, as shown on attachment C, all off-street parking shall be consolidated into a single driveway located off of North Morgan Avenue. The new driveway shall be designed in accordance with the Public Works Engineering Standards Manual. And B, the existing driveway and driveway apron located on East Peachtree Street shall be removed and the curb replaced in accordance with the Public Works Engineering Standards Manual. 7, sidewalks. A pedestrian sidewalk connection shall be provided from the driveway to the principal entrance for each dwelling unit. 8, landscaping and buffering in accordance with subsection 4.5.4.2 of the Land Development Code. A minimum of 1 large type A tree shall be planted per dwelling unit, 2 per duplex. In lieu of a landscape plan at the time of building permit review, the specific tree species to be planted, caliper, and planting location shall be shown on the site plan for each 2-family dwelling unit.
All right, any questions from the board on the conditions as presented? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item 5.
I think so.
Minor modification of PUD Plan Unit Development zoning to increase the maximum number of beds for a previously approved assisted living facility from 148 to 175 beds on property located at 3201 Airport Road. Owner, RBS Lakeland Investments LLC. Applicant, Sarah Case. Next Level Planning Permitting. Consideration of final decision.
Good morning again. For the record, Todd Vargo, Senior Planner with Community and Economic Development. This is a pretty simple case in which the applicant would like to increase the number of beds in the previously approved living facility from 148 to 175. Some of you may remember when this came through at 3201 Airport Road. This was at the Polk Parkway and Airport Road in the southwest corner. Here's the aerial and the subject property. This is the entrance to Carillon Lakes right here, and the Publix campus is over here, office campus. Here's the site plan. There will be no change to the previously approved building footprint, just an increase in the number of beds. I think to accommodate the trend of, and I'll let Sarah come up and talk about this, but I think it's to accommodate the husband and wives are moving into assisted living facilities together and they want to stay in the same room. So there's not an increase of rooms, just an increase of beds to accommodate those couples moving in together. Here's the site looking from Airport Road to the west. You can see, I think there's like the bell tower at Carillon Lakes or something right there in the distance. And then this is from the Carillon Lakes driveway looking north. Again, it's all undeveloped right now. Anyway, gonna let.
Good morning. For the record, Sarah Case, Next Level Planning and Permitting. My address is 3825 South Florida Avenue here in Lakeland. And I do want to explain just a little bit more. This is really a directive from the state for assisted care living facilities. They've noticed that there is a trend in double occupancy, husbands and wives moving in together. We are not, like Todd said, we're not increasing any of the bedroom count. Therefore, that's why the footprint is not changing of what was approved November of 21 by the City Commission. It's more of a residence thing. So the state wants to know that local jurisdiction, if it's under some type of ordinance in the zoning approval, that we are approved if all of the rooms that could occupy double occupancy are occupied at one time. So again, there's no change to how many bedrooms, but it's in the event they can now accommodate more couples. So I will stand for any questions. I do know that engineering plans are getting ready to be submitted, so it will be under construction soon, but we wanted to take this jump ahead of the mandate from the state and get it all in order. So.
Is there any change in the size of these rooms that are anticipated to accommodate 2 people instead of 1?
No. So the original plan, and again, we were asking for permission for 175 beds, but some couples still are occupying the same bed. It's really residents. We're trying to get the maximum approval for this site as it is. So there's actually 131 rooms. 99 are assisted living, 32 are memory care. But the 175 request is really a strike through on the PUD for that modification, just at maximum capacity if there were a lot of couples coming in at the same time.
So there would be no rooms with, as in other assisted living facilities, sometimes there are people who share a room. Strangers, basically, but people who do share of cost or that kind of
Right, there will be all of that options for a family, but this is to accommodate more of the trend with the couples coming in together. But there will be double occupancy rooms that might be, like in a hospital, that you share a room, something like that.
So no, there's no mandate that someone must be in double occupancy?
Oh, no.
Strictly an optional thing, and
The mandate is coming soon from the state that says assisted care living facilities need to make sure through their local jurisdiction that they have the approval at maximum occupancy. That would be, for us, why we need the change from the 148 to the 175.
Just to clarify, that term bed is how the state, their licensing, how they would regulate it. So it would be one person per bed. So even if it's a couple, technically that would count as 2 beds for that one room. Does that make sense? Yeah.
So what is the mandate change? Is this a new law that's being enacted, or is it just?
It's coming, and that this is, so my clients, RBS Investments, have just built one in Ormond Beach, and they are involved in the industry and have been told that by the end of the year, or I don't know what the actual date of the mandate will be coming into effect, but they just contacted me to modify so that they're ready when it happens.
so let's say you're talking a 1,200 square foot bedroom, room or whatever it is. The state will then come in and say, yes, you're using it only for one person now, but you now must make it available to a two-person.
You could make it available to 2, especially if they're married.
Would the increase in beds result in an increase in staff needs?
I do not know the answer to that question. I would assume that it would if there are more people. Again, this is just more for maximum occupancy.
Yeah, I'm thinking from a size of building, parking spaces, while we're not changing the footprint, if we need more staff, does that warrant?
Well, the parking, and it's part of the PUD that was approved originally. The parking, I believe we have 99 parking spaces. 90, sorry. But that's to accommodate visitors at the most intense time of the year, which would be like Mother's Day and Easter. But the shift work for the workers, there's plenty of parking to accommodate them because we're very low impact. Our residents don't drive.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, if we were not to approve this and it comes through a mandate, what would the legal ramifications? I'm assuming that if it's a requirement that would supersede any ordinance?
That would be correct, yeah.
So, if a state mandate came through, would we have to just come through this process as sort of a procedural method?
I mean, it depends on what the mandate actually looks like. I mean, the legislative session starts in January. So, I mean, if anything does come down by then, we should probably have a better idea as to what that looks like. I mean, if it's a change to kind of like what we've seen in the more recent past of changes to, how, where it's kind of self-enacting, like our Live Local Act and things like that, where we don't really have to take any action to really make those changes, but it would be nice if we did. So do we need to bring it back if that's the case? Perhaps, if we just need to clear it up. But in this regard, I mean, it's kind of hard to really say since, they haven't started session yet as far as what that mandate would even look like.
Just sounds like they're being more proactive in case it does, which isn't really going to impact traffic because most of those people don't drive. And in assisted living facilities, there are people who actually share rooms, and those rooms are not that big. They're only about maybe 600 square feet. So, it's not really going to affect it too much.
On the other side of the coin, if someone says, I don't want to, they're already in there, they're paid for whatever it's cost them to go in, and they say, I don't want a second person in this room with me.
And they pay for a private room.
Yeah.
Like a hospital.
And they have the rooms available for them.
And that's going to be on their management and that kind of thing. This
That's a
is
totally
the jurisdictional part that so that we are being proactive because we don't want it to come back on us and it's going to take 4 months to make it happen and then we're not in compliance. And again, this is all proactive and applicant initiated to get ahead of the curve should it become
Worry
into
about what
effect.
could be when it becomes actual. Oh, it's if the state comes up with something else. You can't decide now based on what the state might do. I would assume you have to pay what you think they want, what they are telling you they want. It may change, but you
And then
can't
we're
do anything
covered.
about that.
If you all approve it, then we're covered.
Yeah.
Should that occur. So we're just being proactive, getting ahead of it.
In the age of local government preemption, we're anything but, we've tested our flexibility. So there's a lot of things that are coming from Tallahassee that we really have no control over. But I would say in this instance that the bed count increase is de minimis from a traffic standpoint. And so staff doesn't see it as a problem at all.
It's why we made it a minor modification rather than a major modification. There really isn't a lot of impact to this. So we advertised it and haven't heard anything from anyone.
Okay. Any further questions from the board? Any comments from the audience? If you could state your name and address for the record.
My name is George Lucier. I live at 3003 Bellflower Way in Carillon Lakes. I'm a member of the board of directors, and I have with me Frank Borelli, who is also a member of the board of directors. And I can say that up to this point, as far as comments from residents in Carillon Lakes, they want it to be a quality facility, and they hope it's built before they need it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other public comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minor modification as presented.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 6, change in zoning from C2 Highway Commercial District to I2 Medium Industrial District, concurrent with a city-initiated application to change the context sub-district designation from Suburban Corridor, SCO, to Suburban Special Purpose, SSP, on approximately .46 acres located at 3070 New Tampa Highway. Owner Lakeland Storage 1 LLC, applicant Michael Morcos.
Hello, good morning again. Mary Stahl, Senior Planner of Community Economic Development. As mentioned, this request is for change in zoning from C2 Highway Commercial to I2 Medium Industrial District, and it's also running concurrent with the city-initiated change of context sub-district destination from Suburban Corridor to Suburban Special Purpose at 3070 New Tampa Highway. This here is the general location of the property. And as you can see, it's just kind of east of Airport Road. And there's the base map and the aerial of the property. So you can see there's mobile homes, residential to the east, and industrial plan unit development all surrounding the property. The following are some images of this project. Is the northeast boundary facing west on New Tampa Highway. You can see the Publix water tower there in the foreground. Is the northeast boundary facing southeast into the property along the driveway there. And this is the northwest corner facing east on New Tampa Highway. And the northwest corner facing south towards the property is the front of the building. Currently, the building is being used by a gentleman who is manufacturing trusses in there. This is the rear of the property, so southeast boundary facing north. And this is the southeast boundary facing northwest, and you can see all of the property and Publix credit union there in the foreground there. And this here is just another image of the rear of the building facing north. And this is the southwest boundary facing south towards the parcels adjacent to this property, which is all owned by the same business. Apologize. Well, I will pause here and allow the applicants to go forward. This is going to, next month, we'll go and move forward with a recommendation for this project.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jonathan Bergman. This is Mike Marcos, my partner. My address is 5743 Corsa Avenue, Westlake Village, California.
Thank you.
So we purchased this property pretty recently, and we own the adjacent 7 parcels.
Could you get a little closer to the mic for us?
We purchased this property recently, and we own the adjacent 7 parcels, which we are combining with the Polk County Appraiser to make one property. And this is zoned the commercial, and we'd like to get it rezoned into industrial so that the entire 4 acres, which we currently own, conforms to the industrial use.
Right now, currently, Mike Marcos, 4343 McClung Drive. Right now, we've got actually a letter of intent for the trust company to move into that building pending the zoning approval. They're using a property that's I-2 right in the center of the property to build their trusses outdoor. They want to move indoor to keep the wood good. And it's just, they're a small truss company. They make trusses for sheds, small home additions.
So in the total project, it's the intention of our company to put together or build a business park or an industrial park on the entire property.
All right. Any questions from the board?
So the adjacent properties that you own are the...
All of this here. So all of these parcels, individual parcels, are all...
Okay.
They're all the industrial zoning. And this is kind of like the outland one that's C2.
Typically, the most recent use for that property was a bar there, but if you drive down the corridor, there's not much commercial around there, so it really is rather isolated and probably not very high demand for commercial like that. So it would actually be more consistent with the surrounding land use to rezone for I2 as proposed.
And does the trust company lease from you? They lease that area from you? Is that?
So the trust company at the moment leases a space on the vacant, on an empty parcel to do their work, and they're using the building right now just as dead storage, just to secure their stuff at night.
So they're only going to be leasing the subject parcel. What is the long-term intent with the other 7?
So the long-term intent with the other 7 is to build a business park or an industrial park, okay, with smaller industrial units between 2.5 to 4.5, 5,000 square feet. So that will be consistent to the 4,000 or 4,300 with, which is the current size of the 3070 property.
The only thing that's up for conversation today is the actual zoning change, though. Is that correct?
Correct. That would be for the, where the existing building is for the C2 portion only. The other portion does have I2 already, so that's not really part of the discussion.
All right. Any other questions from the board before we open it up to the public? Any comments from the public? Have we received any emails or phone calls?
I have not received any emails or phone calls regarding this project at all, so we'll just return next month for a recommendation, and I'll provide a little more photos and the survey on here for you guys to see.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just add, this property has been on our radar the last couple of years. We have received a couple of development proposals for the larger I2 property. I think one was for a truck driving school at one point, and there was from some type of self-storage. We do want to clean up the property. It's an older industrial property. It was probably done in the county and extended at some point there. And I know part of the discussion was improving the buffer for the mobile home park to the east when any redevelopment moves forward there. So we are aware of that, and we'll be paying attention. And so whatever they decide to do, we will, bring the property up into compliance with the land development code.
Oh, and that was one of my questions. If next month we did do that, would they have to come back before us to approve any plans for those changes to that?
No, it would be by right under the zoning, so that would be administratively through the commercial site plan review process in accordance with the LDC requirements.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to the general meeting. Item number 7, review minutes of the August meeting, which I wasn't here for, so do I vote on that?
I believe you can vote.
Because I did read them.
Yep. Assuming everyone's had a chance to review, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
A second.
With a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 8, major modification of PUD Plan Unit Development zoning to allow motor vehicle fuel sales major within Tract A and motor vehicle service and repair uses minor within Tract B of the Cypress Point at Lake Parker subdivision. The subject property is located north of US 92 east of Lake Parker Drive and west of Fairway Avenue, 2020 East Road 92. Owner Cypress Point Commercial, LLC. Applicant Sarah Case, Next Level Planning and Permitting.
I need to recuse on this project since I was part of the Cypress Point project team.
And I have a question before you get into it. When I was doing some research yesterday, there is no such parcel as 2020 East Road 92. So I've got 2012, which is one of the parcels, and 2190, which is the other parcel. So does that have to be corrected?
No, there are different addresses used in our internal system that may not show up on Google Earth or anything like that. So we believe the address is correct, and it runs off of parcel ID numbers as well. So
This was our IMAP tax report, so it wasn't Google Earth. It was an actual tax parcel ID. Okay.
we'll go back and look at it for you. I will have a correction at the next meeting. But again, for the record, Philip Scarce, Principal Planner with Community Economic Development. The applicant has requested a 1-month continuance to this case. She requested it right after this agenda item was sent out to you, so we didn't have a chance to, correct anything. But it was, so she's requesting a 1-month continuance to the October meeting, and she's here to answer any questions if you have. Anyway, that's all I have for you today.
Considering the request, I'll entertain a motion to continue.
Grant the continuance request. So moved.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, on to the next.
Thank you.
Item 9, major modification of PUD plan unit development zoning to allow a freestanding emergency room on property located at 1075 Carpenters Way. Owner, June 35 LLC. Applicant, Avery Steed, Fulmer Lucas Engineering LLC.
Good morning. Again, for the record, Todd Vargo, Senior Planner with Community and Economic Development. We saw this case last month, but I'm going to run through the slides again real quick for you. The property is located at 1075 Carpenters Way at the northeast corner of US 98 and Carpenters Way. There's the subject property highlighted right there. Here is the proposed freestanding emergency room site plan. The emergency room faces US 98 and has entrances on Carpenters Way, as well as on East Corporate Avenue, or on the east to Corporate Avenue. Site plan utilizes the existing retention ponds in the northeast and northwest corners of the site. This first photograph is of the, this used to be a financial institution, I think it was SunTrust. And this is from the south side of Carpenters Way looking north to that structure. That structure will be demolished and the freestanding emergency room will take its place. This is still from the south side of Carpenters Way looking towards the intersection of US 98 and Carpenters Way, which is, you can see, is pretty busy. This is looking west at the site from the intersection of Carpenters Way and Corporate Avenue. So this is the rear of the property, and that entrance onto Corporate Avenue will be over in this area somewhere. Crossing Corporate Avenue now, looking north along Corporate Avenue. So I'm actually adjacent to the site right here. And then this is at that same corner of Carpenters Way and Corporate Avenue, and I'm looking west along Carpenters Way back to the US 98 intersection. This is from that intersection, the intersection of Carpenters Way and US 98, looking kind of northeast into the site. Again, that SunTrust building will be demolished and the freestanding emergency room constructed in its place. And here's the site plan and elevations for the south and the east properties, or sorry, south and east elevation. You can see this one on the bottom, I think is the south. So this would face Carpenters Way, the emergency, and then the ambulance would be actually on the west side of the structure facing US 98. So here's the west down here. So this is the ambulance port and the entranceway for that. The requested PUD PUD modification is necessary to allow for the freestanding emergency room use and adopt as a binding site plan and elevations. As the city's population grows, so does the need for healthcare services, both emergency and non-emergency. Freestanding emergency rooms serve as alternative to traditional emergency rooms, which are attached to full-service hospitals. These freestanding emergency rooms are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and provide the same level of care as traditional emergency rooms. However, they do have more walk-in customers, as most patients bring themselves to the ER instead of arriving by ambulance, and I think we had some testimony to that last month. The freestanding emergency rooms are also more convenient, as they typically have shorter wait times than traditional emergency rooms and are often located near shopping centers in suburban or rural areas. There is one kind of across from Merchants Walk on South Florida Avenue, I think maybe even operated by the same company. But this proposed freestanding emergency room will be operated by the Hospital Corporation of America. If further treatment and care is necessary for a patient, the patient will be transferred by ambulance for admission to either Brandon Hospital, the closest hospital affiliated with HCA Florida, or another hospital of the patient's choosing. The proposed freestanding emergency room consists of an 11,570 square foot, one-story building with a covered patient drop-off area, and on the west side facing US Highway 98 North, which that's what we talked about before, the ambulance parking or ambulance drop-off. Existing driveway access from Carpenter's Way shall be retained, and a new secondary driveway, as I stated before, shall be created on Corporate Avenue. The new driveway will be placed as far north as possible to minimize any potential conflicts at the Corporate Avenue Carpenter's Way intersection. And with that, we do recommend approval. Again, we have had no communications regarding this case, aside from what we heard last month at the Planning and Zoning Board hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and read the conditions into the record. As normal with the existing PUD, we really only read in the things that we're changing. Under permitted uses, we're crossing out commercial bank and adding freestanding emergency room. Under C, development of the property shall be in accordance with the site development plan attached here to Exhibit B1, and then we're adding, and the architectural elevations attached here to is Exhibits B2 and B3. With the approval of the Director of Community and Economic Development, minor changes may be made at the time of site plan and building permit review without requiring a modification to the PUD. D, we're striking through the original landscape and adding instead in its place, D, landscaping buffering in accordance with subsection 4.5 of the Land Development Code. E, we're adding a signage portion to the code, which states signage in accordance with the retail, commercial, and large lot office zoning district regulations, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and O3, as specified in subsection 4.9.4.4 of the Land Development Code. We're adding a transportation condition, which has a few parts to it. Number one, binding concurrency determinations will be made at the time of site plan approval. Number two, bicycle parking shall be provided in compliance with section 4.11.6 of the Land Development Code and Index 900 of the City Engineering Standards Manual. Number three, an ADA compliant pedestrian route shall be provided between the Carpenter's Way sidewalk and principal building entrance. This route shall not require pedestrians to walk through any patient drop-off zones. And those are our conditions of approval, and I'll stand for questions.
Is there a requirement, I thought somewhere in there, I don't know if it applies to emergency rooms or not, a requirement that they be a minimum distance from the nearest hospital?
There's nothing in our Land Development Code. I'm not aware of any state statutes or?
I'm not aware of any state regulations that would dictate that. And maybe the applicant would have better information on that, but we're not aware of anything.
All right, well, there was something in there. Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Is the applicant able to provide some information to the board member's question? If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Gary Ball, 1405 West McLeod Street, Bartow. In regards to what you're discussing would be reference to the COPCN, which was a previous state statute through ALCA and through the Board of Health. That statute was actually removed several years ago.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.